Joining us now to break down the crucial swing state and the lead up to the 2020 race is Erin Elmore, the executive director of USA Strong. So, Erin, we hear right now that we might get a little bit of a repeat from 2016 in regard to the typical states, Wisconsin, Michigan. Pennsylvania is the one that a lot of people are talking to. Do you agree that that'll be the pathway to victory?
Well, I've lived in Pennsylvania all of my life and all parts of the state, and I think it's really going to come down to Pennsylvania. And being on the ground and traveling all around the state, I don't see what these polls are saying. Other than Philadelphia, the state is largely conservative. Pittsburgh has pockets as well, but I do believe it is going to come down to Pennsylvania. And everything that's going on in Philadelphia right now, where I am from, I am currently in Washington, D.C., but I do live in Philadelphia. The residents are terrified. The looting and the rioting is not helping anybody. All of the local business owners, many of whom I know, they are minorities. They have had to hire $4,500 a day security guards with guns to protect their businesses. People are fed up, and they see President Trump as a candidate of law and order, not Joe Biden.
And I think that the events this week are going to play a role in that race as well. I mean, you can't look at what's happening in Philadelphia right now and, first of all, feel terrible for that community, but also say that Democratic leaders, at the very beginning especially, refused to even condemn that type of violence. And now we see it's once again taking off, and even with the governor, he's not taking action as well. Is that correct?
100% correct. We have a Democrat mayor, we have a Democrat governor, and both of these individuals refuse to enforce any law and order. Also, we have Larry Krasner, who is the shameful and despicable district attorney who is George Soros funded. He's a former criminal defense lawyer. He is not for law and order. He lets people out of jail without bail. He wants no law and order and no safety in the streets, and residents are literally terrified. No one is happy about what's going on. It's a terrifying time, and all of the joy that we once had living in this bustling city is gone.
And I think that's a problem for many people, too, because they see this firsthand. I mean, for example, me included. I mean, I look at Pennsylvania through what many of the media networks tell me. You know, I mean, I'm not following up on local news or anything like that, but the people of Pennsylvania are. They know exactly what's going on in Philadelphia. They know exactly how their government also responded to the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, Governor Wolf by no means was one of the saviors at the beginning days. I mean, in fact, he was someone who was very much so scrutinized for his response, if I'm not mistaken. But to your point that you were saying, too, there was a recent op-ed in the New York Times, someone once again from Pennsylvania writing there, saying, can we trust Pennsylvania polls? They show Joe Biden clinching crucial counties, but why does it feel so different on the ground here? So you're not the only one saying that, including people from the New York Times. What do you think is going on with the polls? Do you think it's another 2016 incident?
I mean, it's so hard to gauge exactly, but, and also, by the way, I spent 4 months in Florida, not to pivot here, but Florida is not a swing state. Florida is not a swing state. It is red. The pockets in Orlando and Miami, by the way, I don't think so either. Miami has a lot of Cubans and has a lot of people from Venezuela and Argentina and Latin America, and we know that they do not like socialism. So going to your point, I think the polling is wrong. I think we're going to see one of two things on Election Day. We're either going to see a massive blowout in favor of President Trump, or it's going to be close. But I know that's not that insightful, but those are the two ways I think it will go. I don't think it's going to be a blowout for Joe Biden, certainly. And I think it's because the polls are wrong. We know the Republicans don't like to respond to polls because they have a lot of fear. And I think it's going to be another repeat of 2016. I really, truly do.
I think you're exactly right. And in fact, maybe if it's not 2016, maybe it'll be something like 2000, because even right now we're talking about the possibility of court cases deciding what happens after the race. I mean, there's a reason why, for example, the Trump campaign is sending lawyers to Philadelphia today to prepare for possible cases that are going to come through that state. And in fact, we've heard President Trump say that they don't want, for example, mail-in ballots to come in 3 days after, I believe is the time frame, of November 3rd. They don't want any decisions being made after that. So do you think that will be the case where November 3rd results will come in, we'll get the mail-in ballots and all that, and then it'll come down to the courts?
Well, a couple of things. President Trump is absolutely right to send lawyers to Pennsylvania because there was evidence that the voting machines were being tampered with. So hopefully these lawyers are looking into those issues as well. I do believe there will be litigation surrounding this, very much like Bush v. Gore. And I think the reason why the Pennsylvania Democrats want to have the extra days is so they can find the votes that they need and cheat. The only way that Joe Biden is getting to the White House is if the Democrats cheat, plain and simple, because the American people are not behind him.
And we can even look at what the Democratic Party has said behind closed doors. I mean, there's been reporting about war games or anything that you want to call it, saying no matter what, we do not plan on conceding this race. No matter what the election says on November 3rd, we're going to take this to the courts. We're going to continue to fight this in some manner. So I guess what's your last message to voters as they go into the ballot box on November 3rd? I mean, polls are what they are. The people are enthused. What is your last message to the people who may be a little bit maybe scared about what's happening on November 3rd?
I'm scared. Everyone's scared. America is terrified. It keeps me up at night. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm a working woman. I'm scared. Everyone on November 3rd, go to the polls and vote. Wear your masks. Practice social distancing. Plan to wait all day. That's what I am doing. I'm clearing my day because I will walk over hot coals to get to the polls on Election Day because it is so important to have law and order and to live in a world of a democracy and not, you only get to vote for socialism once and then you're stuck. And this is really what the Democrats want to do to our thriving, beautiful nation. And you have to go vote and you really need to dig into these issues and ask yourself who you're voting for and why. And finally, a lot of people, listen, Trump's tone and tenor isn't for everyone, but what's the alternative? You can't simply vote for Joe Biden. He's slipping mentally and he has no policies that are even worth being American for. So I think you got to go to the polls, you got to vote and be ready to stay there all day, vote like your life depends upon it.
No, I think people are exactly right when they say that the direction of this country is on the ballot come November 3rd. And I know that sounds a little bit extreme, but I mean, we look at the two sides and where they're going. They are polar opposites, polar different directions. I think that the American people have a very important job on November 3rd. But Erin Elmore, I really appreciate you coming on the program tonight, breaking down what's happening in Pennsylvania and the whole election more generally. Thank you.